everyone, Adam Doran here, and I'm meeting today in Kansas City with my friend Engelo Rumora. Engelo is a real estate investor and actually has a pretty interesting story. You see, he bought Australia's cheapest house. I'm going to have him tell you about that. So, Engelo, before we go any further, why don't you talk to me about how you bought Australia's cheapest house?
Sure. Well, first of all, I worked as a buyer's agent in Australia, and I was sourcing a lot of properties all around New South Wales. And this particular property came up. It was quite expensive at the time when I saw it. I believe it was listed for around $80,000. And I just kind of put it on my pipeline list of potential deals that, if the price gets reduced, would be a good purchase later on down the track. So around 6 months later, I was, going through my list of properties on that pipeline, and I saw that there was a reduction in price to $60,000. I called Peter, who was the listing agent of this house, and I said, "Hey Peter, it's Engelo calling. I see that there's been a reduction on this property from $80,000 to $60,000. That's, a quite big reduction." And she said, "Yeah, look, the owner just wants to sell it. He wants to get rid of it. He's had enough of owning this property, and it's currently vacant." So that kind of caught my interest, and I kind of asked her, "Peter, how negotiable would he be, etc., etc." And she said, "I believe he's negotiable. Submit an offer and see how you go." So as I was kind of, talking to Peter about this property, she gave me a call back a few days later, and she said, "Engelo, we've got to stop negotiations. The property got vandalised." And I was like, "Wow, what happened?" She said, "Someone broke into it and completely, drew graffiti on the property." And I've actually done a YouTube video where investors can see before video and after the rehab or renovation video of that particular house.
This is a house that you were looking at. It was $80,000.
That's correct.
Then it's $60,000.
$60,000. It gets vandalised. Someone breaks into it. All negotiations are put on hold. Peter comes back to me and says, "It's been completely trashed. I don't think he wants to sell it now." And I said, "Well, Peter, what would he be willing to sell it in this current condition?" So she goes, speaks to the owner. He kind of said he was umming and ahhing. He wasn't 100% sure. He was waiting to get an insurance payout. So pretty much, for the next 4 to 5 months, I kept following up with Peter to see if this guy finally got his insurance payout, which he was chasing the insurer to pay him, and they obviously didn't, because that's why it dragged out so long. And I believe around 8 to 10 months went past, what happened, I was supposed to buy the property for $35,000 rehabbed, because he would have got an insurance payout, he would have fixed it up, and then he would have sold it to me rehab. That was our agreement. So after, consistently going back and forth, I kind of was starting to get to that point where I'm either going to get this deal or not. So I gave Peter a call and I said, "Peter, listen, he can continue chasing the insurance as long as he wants. I'm going to buy this property today. Right now, I'll wire the funds, but I want it for $15,000, not even $1 more. It's dragged on long enough."
Okay, this is after 8 to 10 months into
That's correct. That's correct. Of kind of, following up once a fortnight, going back and forth. First of all, it was listed for 80, then he dropped it to 60, then I agreed to buy it for 35, rehab after he gets his insurance payout. He was still chasing him, and I called Peter and I said, "Peter, I want it now, today, in the current condition for $15,000, or otherwise I'm done. I'm moving on."
Okay.
She calls me back an hour later and says, "You've got a deal." So, yeah, bought it for $15,000. Rehabbed it for $15,000, put it on the market, sold it 6 weeks later for $74,500, and that was just a walk out the door price. We could have probably, if we wanted to sit for longer, we could have got an 85, 90 grand from it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I take it then, buying a house like that for $15,000 in Australia is literally unheard of.
Unheard of, that's correct. And as soon as a few of the media outlets picked up on it, they were just calling me, and I had an interview with a 9MSN. I had a few other interviews with a few real estate magazines there, and yeah, they loved the story.
You have offices here in Kansas City, but are also doing some work in Ohio, is that right?
That's
real
correct.
estate. And kind of your emphasis has been turnkey real estate, income-producing properties, is that right?
That's correct. The number one most important thing is the team that you establish on the ground in that particular area where you're looking at purchasing properties. Be it Kansas City, Ohio, Detroit, the Bahamas, it doesn't matter. Team. I can't stress that enough. That's the most important thing. The team on the ground has to have your best interest at heart. I know that you talk a lot about that power team.
Yes.
And that includes realtors, rehabbers, accountants, attorneys, etc. Speak to Adam more about that. So, you have to make sure that all of these people have your best interest at heart. So that would be my number one thing, number one emphasis is team, team, team. Number two, the number two most important thing would be invest based on the numbers in the deal today. And if those numbers suit your end goal and where you want to be, it might be worth pursuing that investment further. Forget about capital growth appreciations, forget about speculating where the market's going to be tomorrow, 2, 5, 10 years from now. No one has a crystal ball. If anyone says, I know the market's going to go up in value in Kansas City or Miami or Detroit or wherever, tell them, mate, forget about it. No one has a crystal ball. They can't tell you where the market when it will appreciate or where it will appreciate.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to stop you there because I have been on the websites of several vendors who sell turnkey properties in Kansas City and elsewhere around the country.
Yes.
And this idea of projected appreciation is something that some of them throw into their numbers. And what I'm hearing you say is, that's not something that should be concerned you today. Your concern should be the numbers today. How is the property cash flowing today?
Correct.
So I want to make sure I understand you on that. And then also, I assume what you're telling me then is your business, you and your partners, when you're offering these income-producing properties for sale, you are not putting those numbers in, these projected rates of return, but rather, if they see one of your properties and you say, hey, this is a 14% return property or 15% property, that is today, in real numbers, that's not
correct.
What you're projecting.
That's correct.
Absolutely agree with that way of doing business and that cash flow mindset.
Yeah, and we've got it systemized where those numbers promised on paper we actually hit in real life due to the different strategies and that niche market that we target. But that's correct. Forget about capital growth appreciation. Focus on the numbers in the deal today. If they suit your end goal and where you want to be, it might be worth pursuing. Make sure that you've got trustworthy people that have your interest at heart. Trust is not built over one phone call, Skype call, or meeting. It's built over time. So spend 6 to 12 months building that relationship with the people you're looking at doing business with. If someone grabs you by the collar and says, buy my house today or it's gone tomorrow, do not do business with these people because they will not offer any after service once you purchase this property.
I couldn't agree more. So the reason Engelo and I connected and have continued to maintain that business relationship is because as you folks have come to know me and our company, Make It Move Properties, you know we do a relationship-based business. Engelo operates the same way. Him and his partners, they operate the same way. So I wanted to make sure that I gave you all the opportunity to get to know him. Certainly, especially if you have investments that you're looking at in Kansas City or in Ohio, but elsewhere around the country too, your network runs deep. I mean, we both have spent a lot of time developing a presence on LinkedIn.
Sure.
So.
Well, we're always happy to help. So, if someone wants to be pointed in the right direction, if they're willing to work through us, that's great. Or all good. But if not, as long as we can point them in the right direction, so they can be successful in any other market that they work in. When you give others what they want, eventually you get what you want. And if you do good things for others, it will come back around and it will, get good to you also. So.
Now, one other question I had for you is, let's say there's some newer real estate investors that are watching today. Can they contact you for consultation or other than just if they want to buy a property, but maybe they just want to learn about real estate investing? Is that something that you make available with us?
Of course. Well, we're actually in the process of setting that up on my personal website where I'll be able to assist investors, new investors, or even experienced investors with. We're going to offer a service where I'll allow for 1 hour of my time to 1 year of my time. We'll definitely have something like that. That service for offer on the website. As I said, we're still in the process of working on that. So whoever contacts me now, I'm not going to ask for any credit card details, so they don't have to be worried. I think that most days and most of the time I do wear a white shirt and a red cross on my back. So if I can leverage my time a little bit to potentially make a bit of extra income, but of course assist the investors and get them to where they want to be, I guess it can be a win-win for everyone.
Fantastic. Thanks for just taking time to meet with me today and be introduced to my network of business contacts. And so Engelo Rumora, look for him on LinkedIn. I strongly recommend doing business with this man. This guy is honest. He does business based on relationships and is truly interested in, for those who are buying properties, in providing them with a quality product. And for those who are fellow real estate investors, absolutely willing to help you learn more, leverage your networks together, and do business together. So thanks, Engelo, for your time.
Thank you. Don't get deterred by the accent. I've got smarter people than me doing the things that I can't do.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thanks.